Welcome back, dreamers. Tonight we're not floating into fairy tales. We're sinking, slowly, softly, into the shadows of jobs no one wanted, not even in ancient times. Forget velvet robes and royal feasts. These were the gigs that left your back crooked, your skin blistered, and your soul, well, let's just say, it clocked out early. So snuggle deeper into your sheets. Let the hum of your fan mimic ancient winds and prepare to travel back, not to greatness, but to grime. We begin in Rome, not the glorious marble halls, not the Senate floor. We start in steam and sweat, and something else you can't quite name. You're about to become a bath attendant. Sounds relaxing, right? Let's begin. Why being a Roman bath attendant was a nightmare in togas and steam. Your eyes sting the moment you walk in. The steam is thick, like breathing through a wet cloth someone already used. You inhale and cough, not from the heat, but from the smell. It's a cocktail of sweat, oil, mold, mildew, and ambition. Welcome to the Thermae, Rome's public bathhouse, a place where emperors soak and senators gossip, where nakedness is normal and hygiene is a loose term. And you don't get to relax here. You're the one who keeps it running. Yesterday, you were just a slave boy with quick hands and no name. Today, you're responsible for 20 naked aristocrats and a pile of steaming towels. Your first job, scrub the marble floors. Not with a mop. No, that's too fancy. You use a rag and your knees. And guess what those senators leave behind after a steam soak? Dead skin, toe gunk, loose hair. Sometimes something worse. They say, the baths cleanse the soul. Sure, maybe. But someone still has to scrape their spiritual exfoliation off the floor. Flashback. How you got here. You didn't choose this. Nobody does. Maybe your father owed a debt. Maybe your village lost a war. Maybe someone in a nicer toga pointed and said, that one. However it happened, you arrived in Rome and got sold for less than a mule. The auctioneer said you had quick fingers, good teeth, and no complaints. Now look at you, standing ankle deep in warm foot water, holding a bronze bucket and praying the senator doesn't ask for a second massage. The routine. You rise before the sun, not to birdsong, but to coughing. Always someone coughing in the dormitories. You skip breakfast, unless you count a crust of bread so dry it could be used to scrub the walls. Then you report to the baths. You light the fires beneath the Hippocaust, Rome's ancient floor heating system. Yes, those hot floors everyone loves to walk on. You crawl under them, stoke the flames, and inhale more smoke than a dying volcano. The soot stains your skin. Your lungs ache. One boy last week passed out under there, never woke up. They dragged him out like overcooked meat and replaced him with his cousin. You didn't ask questions, neither did anyone else. Customer service in the Roman Empire. The senators enter, loud, sweaty, dripping in oil. Not olive oil, no, scented oil. Imported, expensive, slippery. And now it's on your hands, your face, your shirt. Boy, one of them snaps, beckoning you over. You kneel beside him and begin scraping his skin with a strigil, a curved bronze tool shaped like a question mark. Because every inch of his flabby senator body raises the same question in your mind, why me? Let's talk hygiene, or the lack of it. Baths are supposed to be clean, right? Wrong. The water gets changed once a day, maybe. You watch as the same 20 men soak in the caldarium, the hot bath, adding their sweat, dirt, and other fluids to the mix. Then, they move to the tepidarium, then the frigidarium. The only thing that gets colder is your hope. And no, they don't shower before entering. That's your job. You scrub their backs, rinse their feet, and hope you don't get lice. Too late. You already did. Burns, blisters, and boils. The Hippocaust doesn't just warm the floors, it turns the entire bathhouse into a steaming death trap. Miss a check on the boiler pressure? The floor could crack. Too much fire. The marble burns your souls. Too little fire? The senators complain, and you get whipped. There's no winning, just degrees of losing. And don't forget the accidents. Slipping on whetstone, tripping over amphorae, cutting your palm on a broken strigil. One boy sliced open his foot on a loose tile. The wound festered. By the time the maggots arrived, it was too late. They buried him behind the bathhouse. Under a fig tree, which ironically now has the sweetest fruit. You are not invisible. You are worse. They don't ignore you. They see you. But not as a person. You're a background character in their rich Roman drama. A walking towel rack. A body with hands. Sometimes they comment on your build. Or your scars. Once, one of them joked, "We should wrestle him in the palestra." Everyone laughed. Except you. Ending the day in steam and silence. At dusk, you clean the floors again. Only now they're sticky with wine, oil, and sweat. You empty the foot basins. You rinse the blood from a dropped shaving blade. You carry a senator's sandals to his chariot. Then you return to the dormitory. If you're lucky, you get the top bunk. Slightly warmer, slightly less damp. You scratch your scalp. A louse falls onto your blanket. You name it Julius. You try to sleep, but the cough starts again. Tomorrow it begins all over. Morning again. You wake up drenched, not from rain. There hasn't been a drop in days. Not from sweat, though there's plenty of that too. But from the roof dripping condensation right onto your face. It's not even light yet. Someone's already coughing. Again, same person, same hacking, same rotten lung sounds. You swing your legs off the straw mattress and step into your sandals. One of them squishes. You don't ask why. In the shadows, someone's snoring. Someone else is crying. You don't ask about that either. You don't have time. It's nearly ignition hour. And the furnace waits for no one. The furnace, Rome's underground hell. The Hipparchos system runs the entire bathhouse. Beneath it, through it, under every room. It's how you keep the elite warm and soaked while the rest of the empire shivers. And you are the firekeeper. You crawl through narrow brick tunnels, barely tall enough to crouch. The ceiling is blackened with soot. The floor burns through your sandals. And the smoke? It chokes. You shove kindling into the furnace and blow, and blow, and blow. Your lips go dry, your eyes water. You hear a crack and duck just in time as a hunk of limestone falls from above. You wonder how many boys this place has eaten, and how many more it will take. The hierarchy of filth. There are levels, of course. You're near the bottom, just above the boys who clean the latrines. Yes, the bathhouse has toilets. No, they don't flush. You clean those too. Sometimes with your bare hands, when the brush goes missing. Above you are the massage boys, usually the prettier ones. They don't touch the furnace. They touch flesh. Above them, the oil attendants, the ones who apply scented oils, offer towels and pretend they're invisible when men whisper secrets. And at the top, the balneater, the master of the baths. He doesn't sweat. He delegates. He watches you struggle, and if you're lucky, he nods. If you're unlucky, he spits. Celebrity guests, same misery. Today a consul is visiting. That means more guards, more oil, more rules. It means scrubbing the marble twice. It means polishing the bronze. It means no mistakes. You've heard the stories. A boy who dropped a strigil while the emperor was watching, thrown into the furnace, alive. You thought that was a myth, until someone showed you a tooth, blackened, burned, hidden in a crack between bricks. You polished around it. A quick meal, if you can call it that. Lunch is not served. Lunch is scavenged. Maybe a leftover fig from a senator's plate. Maybe a crust of bread dropped on the floor and stepped on only once. You chew quickly, always standing. If the balneater catches you resting, it's 10 lashes or 1 night locked in the frigidarium. Naked, in the dark, things you can't forget, no matter how hard you try. 1. The old man who died in the steam room. No one noticed for 3 hours. 2. The time a senator's wife asked you to scrub her back. then her legs, then... 3. The boy who stole oil and was caught. They dipped his hand in boiling wax. You tell yourself none of it matters, that you're lucky to be indoors, lucky to be fed. But the lice are worse. The scabs on your arms don't heal. And your left ear rings all the time from when that senator slapped you because the water wasn't hot enough. Evening prayers. Silent, always silent. There's a small alcove near the tepidarium where the steam doesn't reach. You sit there sometimes after everyone's gone. No one knows. If they did, they'd take it from you. You don't pray to the Roman gods, not really. You whisper to whatever's listening. Something older, something colder. You say, let me get through tomorrow, let me keep my fingers, let me keep my name. But you don't say it out loud. Because in this place, names are dangerous. Once they know yours, it's easier to call for you, to own you, to destroy you. Night in the bathhouse isn't silent. Even when the patrons are gone, the baths groan, pipes creak, water drips, shadows move. You've seen things at night, eyes watching through the mist, footsteps when you're alone. You told the others once, they laughed. Then one of them disappeared, and no one laughed again. Final thoughts before sleep. Your hands are raw. Your feet bleed. You lie back on the straw mattress, still damp from yesterday's sweat. You scratch, you cough, you dream. You dream of clean water, not a bath, just a drink. You dream of sunlight without shouting, of silence without steam. You dream of drowning. Wounds that don't bleed. You've stopped noticing the bruises. One on your rib, when the balneater shoved you aside to greet a senator. Another on your thigh, from slipping on olive oil. One across your back. That one came from a wooden ladle. You were too slow bringing towels. But it's not the bruises that stay with you. It's the little humiliations. Being snapped at like a dog. Being called creature instead of your name. Being thanked not with words, but with a flick of a finger. Like, you're a fly someone forgot to kill. You used to get angry. Now, you just tuck it deep inside, like the memory of warmth. Skin as currency. You've started to understand something. The more skin you show, the more they see you. And not in a good way. The senators laugh when the young attendants drop their towels. The older ones stare longer. If you're lucky, they pat your head and call you strong. If you're unlucky, they invite you to their villa. And you can't say no. Saying no means punishment. And there's always another boy willing to take your place. A prettier one, the hungrier one. So, you smile, and the skin you once wore like armor becomes another uniform they rip away with their eyes. The secret rooms. There's a hallway in the back. It doesn't appear on the official layout of the thermi. It's lined with velvet drapes, soft, stained, whispering. Behind those drapes, rooms not meant for bathing. Low couches, candles. Wine. Secrets. Some call them relaxation chambers. You call them what they are. Cages without bars. You've been there, not by choice. And when you came out, something in your eyes had changed. You look at the ceiling more now. Never directly at faces, especially not smiling ones. Pain with a pulse. It's not just emotional. Your wrists ache. The repetitive motion of scrubbing has carved little trenches into your tendons. You sleep with your arms curled like claws. Your knees? They click now. Loudly. Even when you're still. The worst is the skin between your fingers. Raw from soap, lime, and something in the oil they use. You try not to scratch. If you break the skin, it festers. And festering leads to rot. And rot means removal. Yes, they'll cut it off. Whatever goes bad, they cut. A finger, a toe, an arm, if you're unlucky. You knew a boy with a bad foot once. He hid it, until the smell gave him away. Now he limps with one leg, and still works the furnace. The furnace has a voice. You swear it speaks sometimes. Not in Latin, not in Greek, but in creaks and hisses, and sudden bursts of heat like laughter. You feed it wood. Sometimes bones, yes, bones, leftovers from the meals. It crackles like it's hungry. It always wants more. You crawl into its belly to adjust a vent. The heat is unbearable. Your tunic sizzles. You scream and scramble out, hands blistered. No one helps. They say, he shouldn't have flinched. The furnace doesn't flinch. The furnace eats. And you are fuel with a heartbeat. Lessons you've learned. The hard way one, never sit on marble after midnight. It remembers things. 2. Never enter the caldarium alone, even if you hear a voice, especially if you hear a voice. 3. Never trust the silence. Silence means something's about to break. A whispered dream. There's a rumor among the attendants that if you survive 5 years, you get transferred to a country bath, a smaller place. Fewer clients, cleaner air, fewer hands touching you. They say it's by a stream with trees and fish. Some say they've seen it. Most say it's a lie. But you think about it. Sometimes, when you're scrubbing the same corner for the 7th time that day, sometimes when you cry in your sleep and wake up biting your own hand to stay quiet, you dream of that stream, of being a person again, of remembering your mother's voice, even though you forgot it years ago. What it costs you. It costs you everything. Your name, your dignity, your childhood, your ability to be still without bracing. Your skin is no longer yours. Your scars don't tell stories. They just warn others. You are no one. And yet, you're vital. Without you, Rome doesn't relax. Without you, the senators don't shine. Without you, the bathhouse crumbles. But they will never know your name. They will never say thank you. And when you die, your body will be tossed behind the furnace, buried not in ceremony, but in soot. It's not just water in the pipes. The walls weep. You've noticed it. Drips from nowhere. Seepage from the stones. It's not rain. It's not condensation. It's memory. This place remembers every scream, every accident, every scalded foot and bruised ego. You hear things in the pipes, not the usual gurgle and hiss, but murmurs, breaths, the soft thud of something heavy moving in the dark. One night you followed the sound, down into the unused chamber near the furnace, and you saw it, a mass, no face, just cloth, and steam swirling around it. You didn't scream, you bowed, because you've worked here long enough to know some ghosts never leave the bathhouse. They just change shifts. Ceremony for the dead, you wish. When an attendant dies, there's no funeral. There's no priest, no flowers, no coins for the ferryman. There's a shovel and a shallow grave. Sometimes they don't even bury you, just toss you into the ash pit behind the hippocaust. If you're lucky, your bunkmate steals your sandals before they rot. If you're not, they forget your name by breakfast. No one mourns. Because mourning makes you soft, and softness breaks things. You learn to pretend. You pretend the senator's back doesn't make your stomach churn. You pretend the younger attendants don't cry at night. You pretend that pain is normal, that hunger is a phase, that the rash will go away. You pretend you're not scared of fire, that the hot water hissing in the caldarium isn't alive, that it won't rise up and burn your face off if you turn the valve too fast. You pretend you're not just waiting to die. Once you tried to escape. It was during a festival. Crowds in the street, music, distraction. You slipped past the guards, ran barefoot. Your lungs screamed. Your heart exploded with every step. You made it 5 blocks. Then someone shouted, "Bath boy!" You turned. A man with a club. One of the Balneater's friends. He didn't chase you. He waited. Because he knew. The city didn't belong to you, it never would. You returned. Head down, feet blistered. The punishment? No food, no sleep, no name for 3 days. And then, back to work. You become someone else. Not overnight, but slowly. You stop answering when someone calls your old name. You stop looking at yourself in reflective bronze. You stop remembering what freedom felt like. Your hands change shape, your back curves, your eyes sink. You become the bathhouse. You become the steam. You become a ghost with skin. You haunt the halls while still breathing. And then one day, you're in the caldarium, cleaning up after a particularly violent senator. He broke a strigil in anger. It cut your arm. You're still bleeding. The water ripples. You lean over, and for the first time, you see yourself. Not as you are, as you were. A child, small, smiling. You blink and it's gone. The water flattens, the moment ends, and for the first time in a long time, you cry. Not because of pain, not because of humiliation, but because you finally remember you used to be someone. But it's too late now. You finish cleaning, you finish heating, you finish scraping, rinsing, lifting, kneeling. You finish being seen only as a tool, and you lie down in your straw bunk, lice dancing across your cheek, blisters burning your feet, and you dream of a stream in the country, of sunlight, of silence, of no baths, no senators, no orders, just peace. What it cost you, everything. You gave your life to the luxury of others, your skin, your time, your memories. They soaked in warmth. While you slowly froze inside, they called you boy, creature, thing. But you were a furnace of flesh, burning, melting, waiting. And when you finally disappear, Rome won't notice. But the pipes will whisper, and the steam will carry your name. You survived the bathhouse, but now there's no cheering crowd, no scented oil, no marble floors, just heat, dust, and the sound of stone being dragged across the earth. We're leaving the world of togas and entering one of loincloths and sun-scorched skin. Welcome to Egypt. You're building a pyramid. You wake up in the sand, literally, not beside it, not in a tent, in it. You slept in a shallow pit lined with palm fronds and scraps of linen. A rat died near your foot sometime during the night. You know because its bloated body stinks like spoiled dates, and its fur stuck to your ankle when you rolled over. There is no door to open, no bed to make, no breakfast. You're a pyramid builder. You don't get mornings, you get assignments, and today's is move stone again. The blazing alarm clock. The sun doesn't rise in Egypt. It assaults. Within minutes, your skin is burning, and you haven't even stood up yet. The man next to you, a worker named Many, is already vomiting into his hands. He's not sick. He's just hungry. Everyone's hungry. Toilet, be creative. There's a ditch. Everyone uses it. Sometimes the ditch overflows. Sometimes it's already full. Sometimes there's a snake in it. Either way, you go quickly, you don't look down, and you definitely don't breathe through your nose. Toilet paper, a handful of sand, if you're lucky. Breakfast, the sadness meal. You gather with other laborers near the mess tent, if it can be called that. A man with one eye slops a brownish gruel into a cracked clay bowl. It smells like barley, goat sweat, and resignation. No spoons. You use your fingers. Some days, if the priest is in a good mood, you get a dried fig, not a fresh one, a dried one, cracked, with the texture of dead bees. But today, just porridge and a warning. Keep up, or we leave you behind. The march to misery. The quarry is 2 miles away. You walk barefoot. The sand is already hot enough to blister your soles. But sandals wear out fast, and replacements don't come easy. So you shuffle, past the tents, past the scribe who never blinks, past the camel that bit a child yesterday, past the bones. You don't look at those. The tools of torture. You reach the site. Stone. So much stone. Massive limestone blocks, each the size of a donkey cart. Your job? Drag them. You don't ask where. You just follow orders. A wooden sled, a rope, a water boy sloshing sand ahead of you to reduce friction, and 20 men groaning in rhythm, every tendon in your body screaming. Pain is the language. Your palms are torn. Your arms quiver. Your back, oh, your back, is a knot of fire. A man behind you collapses. Heat stroke. Again. They drag him away. Whether to rest or to die, you don't ask. Because asking costs energy, and you need every breath just to stay upright. Supervision means suffering. The overseer watches from the shade. He wears fine linen. He carries a whip. He drinks from a coal jar. You want to be him, but you never will. He calls you beast, and to him you are, an animal with legs, disposable, replaceable. He waves the whip once and everyone pulls harder. You pull so hard your fingernail rips off on the rope. You don't stop, because you want to see the moon tonight, even if it's through swollen eyes. Lunch, a joke in 3 bites. Midday comes, if you can call it that. The sun is directly above, melting your thoughts. You get water, warm, and bread, harder than the stones you're moving. So you soak it in the water until it softens, or disintegrates, whichever comes first. A piece of dried fish, if the gods are generous. Today, the gods are not. You bite your tongue while chewing. It bleeds. You swallow it. You eat quietly, because talking wastes breath, and complaints invite attention, and attention is always bad. Afternoon, the work doesn't end, it multiplies. You're not just hauling today, you're climbing. Wooden scaffolds lashed together with rope, wobbling with every step. You carry tools on your back. Sometimes baskets of sand, sometimes urns of water for the stone polishers. The wood creaks beneath your feet. One misstep and you fall 3 stories into dust and bone. It's happened before. You saw it. He screamed all the way down. No one retrieved his body, just shifted the scaffold and kept working. Still, think aliens built the pyramids? You laugh. Once, it hurts your ribs, because no aliens are here. Just men. Hungry, coughing, barefoot men. There's no magic, no mystery, just suffering, and splinters, and the smell of rot. You are the alien now. You don't remember who you were before this job, only that you weren't this. End of day? Not quite. You don't stop when the sun sets. You stop when the overseer says so, which tonight is long after dark. Your muscles don't ache anymore. They scream. You walk home on feet that feel like sandpaper dipped in fire. You don't talk. You don't look up. You just exist. Tomorrow, you'll do it again. Night doesn't mean rest. You collapse into the pit again. Your bones don't settle. They throb. Your stomach growls, but you don't have the strength to listen. You close your eyes, not to sleep, to shut out the world. But sleep doesn't come easy here. There are lice, always lice, and fleas, and the occasional scorpion in your bedding. And then there's the coughing. Everyone coughs. Deep, sand-filled, chest-rattling hacks that sound like the desert trying to leave your lungs. You stuff a scrap of linen in your ears. It doesn't help. Dreams? You don't get those anymore. You used to dream of water. Cool, blue water from a deep well. You'd drink it, bathe in it, splash your sister. Now your dreams are dry. They taste like stone dust and old bread. You wake up sweating. From heat, from fear, from the phantom feeling of falling off the scaffold again, even though you never did. Yet, sunrise equals another round of bruises. The sun returns like a blade across your face. The overseer's already shouting. You don't hear words, just sharp noise that means move. You stand up too fast. Your vision spins. You vomit bile onto your feet. Doesn't matter. You're still expected to show up. The gods can keep your prayers. You'd trade every offering in the Nile for a nap. Your daily uniform, dirt and despair. You wear the same linen wrap every day. It used to be white. Now it's brown with sweat, dust, and blood. It chafes your thighs. It never dries fully. You stopped adjusting it days ago. Now you let it hang crooked. You tried to wash it once, in a bucket. The water turned black. You laughed. It felt good to laugh, even if your gums bled afterward. Today's job, sandbag runner. You're assigned to sand hauling. It's as thankless as it sounds. You carry heavy bags full of crushed limestone and grit, upsloped ramps to smooth the path for stone sleds. The bags burst open. The dust gets in your eyes, your teeth, your lungs. You cough up white powder. Your sweat turns to paste. You slip. You hit your knee. Hard. No one stops. One man trips over you, curses you out, and keeps walking. You try to stand. You fail. The overseer sees you. He walks over and swings the whip. The whip isn't just for show. It cracks across your back like lightning. Your vision blurs. You bite your lip to keep from screaming. But one sound escapes. A grunt. Wrong move. Another lash. This one across your thigh. You stand. Even if you have to balance on just one leg, you stand. Because lying down again would mean staying down forever. Midday sun equals mental collapse. The sun climbs higher, and so do you. Up ramps, down again, hauling, dumping, sweating, bleeding. You forget your own name. You forget what a full belly feels like. You forget why you ever smiled. You hallucinate water just for a moment, a puddle shimmering near the stone-cutting platform. You reach for it. It's not there. Just the reflection of your broken body in a polished slab of granite. A fellow worker falls. He was maybe 15, new, wide-eyed. They told him not to run down the ramp, but he did. He slipped. He fell. His skull cracked on the stone below. You heard it, like a melon dropped from a roof. The other workers didn't flinch. They stepped over him. The overseer muttered, "Idiot!" 2 men carried the body away. And the work? It continued. Because the stone doesn't care, and neither does the pharaoh. You've stopped looking at the pyramid. At first, you marveled at it. So massive, so perfect. You imagined it glowing under the moon, shining for centuries. But now, you don't even look at it. Because it doesn't belong to you. It never will. It belongs to the dead man who ordered it built. You're just the hands shaping his tomb. You're the fingernail beneath the stone. Evening meal, your only joy. Back at camp, you eat in silence. Tonight, you're lucky. A handful of lentils, a bit of onion, and, miracle of miracles, salt. You savor it like a priest savoring incense. Salt means you might not cramp up during sleep. It doesn't help the whip wounds, but it helps your soul. For 3 minutes, you forget the sun, forget the dust, forget the dead boy. You're just a man, eating, alive. And that is enough. Your body is turning against you. The wound from yesterday's whip strike, it's leaking now, not blood. Something yellow, sticky, burning. You try not to touch it, but the flies do. They land on your back like they were invited. You swat them away with a cloth that used to be part of your bedding. It doesn't work. Your entire body has become a map of sores, scabs, and sweat rashes. Even your eyelids are sunburned. You blink, it stings. You breathe, it hurts. And you still have 14 hours of labor ahead. The word rest has no meaning anymore. There are no breaks, not really. If you pause too long, someone shouts. If you collapse, someone kicks. The only pause you get is when the stone sleds jam. And then you're on your knees, digging the wheels out of compacted sand with your bare hands. Each scoop peels more skin from your fingers. But even that's better than the scaffold duty. You remember that day. Scaffold duty, dancing with death. That time you had to carry plaster jars up the pyramid's side. Every step the wooden planks bowed. Every gust of wind felt like the gods trying to swat you off. The ropes dug into your shoulders so deep you bled. And when one snapped, you watched a man tumble. It took him 3 seconds to hit the ground. You counted. Now you hate heights. But worse than heights is being down here. Dragging stone forever. What they don't tell you about rations. The overseers say you're well fed. They point to the tables lined with loaves, lentils, dried fish, and beer. Yes, beer. Thick, frothy, made from half-rotted barley and river water. You drink it anyway, because the water alone might kill you. But the truth? Most of that food never reaches you. The guards take extra, the scribes skim the best parts, and the priests demand their share for the gods. By the time your turn comes, you get a brick of bread so stale you could build a wall with it, and beer with enough grit in it to sandwood. The whispered illnesses. A man in your barrack has black spots on his legs. He says it's just bruises. But you've seen it before. Soon his tongue will swell. His skin will flake. He'll stop moving. The others whisper about the wasting. No one touches him. No one shares food. You don't either. Even though you remember when he shared his last onion with you, you tell yourself, it's survival. But you still feel guilty when he cries quietly at night. One sandstorm, total chaos. Mid-afternoon, the sky shifts, a low rumble like thousands of tiny fists pounding on the air. Then the wind hits. Sandstorm, no warning, no shelter. You dive behind a stone block, clutch your face, wrap your wrap tighter, but it doesn't help. The sand invades everything. Your mouth, your nose, your eyes. It feels like knives made of dust. Someone screams nearby. You hear a crack. Wood or bone, you don't know. Then silence. After 20 minutes, it's over. Visibility returns. Everyone looks like ghosts, coated in ash-colored grit, eyes wide, coughing, bleeding. A man is missing. They never find him. The sand keeps its secrets. The scribes keep lists, not names. Every day a scribe counts you, not by name, by number, by productivity, by who moved the most stone, by who lagged, by who disobeyed. If your name is written down, it's only because something went wrong. That's how you learn the rule. In Egypt, being forgotten is safer than being noticed. You try to remember something beautiful. Your mother's laugh, your sister's song, a mango tree that grew crooked near your childhood home. But it's all fog now. Even your language feels strange in your mouth. All day you bark commands, curse, grunt. Your vocabulary has shrunk to 5 core phrases. 1, move it. 2, pull. 3, behind you. 4, water. 5, duck. And none of them sound like freedom. The pyramid grows, and so does your fear. Block by block, the structure rises. At night you look at it, you try to be proud. But you're not. You're terrified. Because as it grows, it demands more. More stone, more lives, more pieces of you. And someday soon, you'll be working on the top levels, where one wrong step sends you plummeting into history. You wonder, will they bury you there, inside the very tomb you helped build, or just leave you in the sand? The day ends, but the ache doesn't. Back at camp, someone sings, a soft, broken song about the Nile and the stars. You listen, eyes closed, letting the melody scrape the dust off your thoughts. Then the singing stops. Someone weeps. Someone else coughs until they spit blood. And you lie still, because you know tomorrow brings more stone, more sweat, more silence, and less of you. You wake to screaming. Someone's been bitten. By what? Doesn't matter. Could be a snake, a jackal, a spider the size of your hand. What matters is the noise, the chaos, the blood. The man thrashes near the sleeping pits. The venom is already working, his tongue swollen, his limbs twitching like a puppet with cut strings. The overseers don't move. They say, the gods have spoken. No one else helps. Because helping is dangerous. You've seen it before. Anyone who touches the sick often ends up sick. So you stay back, and he dies. In the sand, alone. Just like you will. Today's assignment, mortar mixer. New task today. Mix the lime mortar. It sounds easy. It isn't. Limestone dust, water, ash, and sweat. Lots of sweat. You stir it with a giant paddle until your arms give out. The lime burns your skin. Literally. Your hands begin to blister. The white paste sizzles in your wounds. Your eyes sting. Your nose runs. You try to wear a cloth over your mouth, doesn't help. The air turns to acid. You cough so hard your ribs hurt. But the work doesn't stop. The stones must be glued together, even if your hands come apart in the process. You hear a rumor, a tunnel collapse. A group working below, digging tunnels for tomb chambers, never returned. The tunnel caved in, 7 men. Gone. The sand swallowed them. Just like that. They weren't named. They weren't buried. A new team was sent in that afternoon. No pause, no prayer. Just clear the rocks. Keep going. You know that one day, that could be you, and it wouldn't change a thing. The gods are watching, but they're not helping. A priest visits the worksite. He sprinkles water, chants in a language older than stone, burns incense that smells like melted figs and mold. He says the Pharaoh is pleased. He says this work will ensure eternal life. You bow your head. You pretend to believe. But inside you whisper, let the Pharaoh have eternity. I just want one day without pain. A quick lesson in ancient medicine. You cut your foot on a shard of pottery. It gets infected, red, swollen, hot. You visit the healer. She pours wine over it, then packs it with honey and crushed onion. You hope it helps. You also hope she's not one of the fake healers, like the last one who gave a man moldy bread for a broken arm and told him to pray harder. He died the next day. Now his bread is being used as bait for rats. You're not building a pyramid anymore. You're becoming it. Your body has changed. You're hard now, not strong, just stiff, like stone. Your hands no longer straighten fully. Your knees crack when you sit. You walk like the elders used to. Except you're only 23. Maybe. You stopped counting after your second whip scar. But one thing is certain. You're not just building the tomb. You are the tomb. Once a visitor asked your name. A nobleman came to inspect the build. He looked at you, at the grime, the sunburn, the hollow stare. He asked, what's your name? You opened your mouth, and nothing came out. You couldn't remember. Not your mother's name, not your village, not the date. You said, I move stones. He nodded, then walked away. At the end of the day, you talk to the moon. You lie on your back. The stars blur above you. The pyramid looms nearby, cold, silent, massive. You whisper, is this worth it? The moon doesn't answer. You ask again, still nothing. You close your eyes. In the dream, you're free. You dream of a river, of swimming, of mango trees and music, of your sister's laugh, of shade that isn't a scaffold's shadow. You dream of softness, of sandals, of sleep without fear. You dream of being remembered. And just before waking, you dream that someone says your name, and it feels warm. Tomorrow comes anyway. You rise, you eat, you haul, you bleed, you kneel, you survive, and when the pyramid is finally finished, you won't be invited to the ceremony. You won't be mentioned on the walls. You won't be remembered by name. But your blood is in the mortar, your breath is in the dust. Your soul is sealed between the stones. You are part of the monument now, unseen, unthanked, unforgettable. Enough dirt and dung for now. Let's go deeper. Below the palaces, past the legends, into a real-life maze, no one escapes from saying, this next story isn't a job, it's a curse. Grab something warm, you'll need it. Because we're boarding a 17th century whaling ship. And trust me, nothing about this voyage will be smooth. Your ears ring before you even hear the splash. You're standing on the slippery deck of a rotting ship. The wind is a knife. The ocean's breath is frost. The man next to you is screaming, not words, just sound. He's pointing toward the waves, and then you see it. The water heaves like a heartbeat, then breaks. A black mountain erupts from the sea. The whale, massive, unblinking, ancient. Its tail crashes down like God himself smiting the ship. Wood cracks, men scatter, ropes snap. You taste blood. Welcome to your first hunt. But first, let's go back a week. Because you weren't always here. A week ago, you were on the dock, hungry, jobless, cold. The recruiter called it adventure, a good wage, free meals, sea air. You signed the contract. You didn't read the fine print. Who could read anyway? They handed you a sack of clothes and a bunk assignment. You stepped aboard the Revenant. She smelled like death and wet rope. And she hasn't stopped smelling that way since. Your bunk is a wooden shelf and a wet blanket. You sleep in shifts, cramped beside 30 other men who haven't bathed in months. It's less a bedroom and more a wooden coffin that breathes. Rats skitter across your chest. The blanket you clutch is damp with mold. Your pillow is your boot. You dream of drowning, then wake to the sound of someone actually doing it. The food could kill you. Salt pork, hardtack, rotten onions, brackish water. Repeat forever. The pork has maggots. The bread breaks your teeth. You try soaking it in rum. Now it just tastes like drunk rot. Some men boil their shoes for soup. You're considering it. The worst part, it's still better than going hungry. Hygiene, that's a joke. There's no soap, no towels, no privacy. You defecate off the side of the ship during storms. Sometimes the wind brings it right back at you. Lice? Everyone has them. Fleas? They're on the captain's dog. Scurvy? Give it a few weeks. You haven't looked in a mirror since boarding. You're afraid of what's looking back. Let's talk about the captain. They call him Black-Faced Elias. Not because of his skin, because of the soot. He sleeps near the oil barrels, smells like burnt nightmares, speaks like a thunderstorm. He once threw a man overboard for sneezing near the gunpowder. You avoid eye contact. You say sir too much. You pray he forgets your name. Your Job is whatever they say it is. Today, scrubbing decks with seawater and sand. Tomorrow, gutting a whale the size of a church. Next week, hanging from a mast in a storm with a rope between your teeth. No training, no questions, no breaks. The workday starts at dawn. It ends when someone bleeds. You thought the sea was beautiful? She is, from land, out here. She's a widowmaker. Waves taller than houses. Rain colder than ice. Wind strong enough to peel the skin off your face. You lash yourself to the rigging just to survive the night. The storm mocks your knots. And when lightning strikes, you see faces in it, not friendly ones. Your hands are changing. The rope burns never heal. Your fingernails split. Your skin is cracked and black with grime. You used to have fingerprints. Now, just calluses and open wounds. You bleed into your food. You don't care. You bleed into your boots. You keep walking. Because if you stop, you die. Someone fell overboard. Yesterday he slipped, shouted once, then vanished. The captain didn't stop the ship. No one threw a rope. You asked why. Whales don't wait, someone muttered. Neither does death. The first time you smell whale blood. It's thick, it's hot, it's everywhere. It stains the deck, your clothes, your teeth. You thought killing a whale would feel like victory? Instead, it feels like murder. The eye is still open when they cut its head off. You stare into it. It doesn't blink. It doesn't forgive. At night, the ship moans. Not from wood, from what's beneath. Some say the souls of whales circle the ship. Others say it's just the wind. You hear a whisper once. Your name. Clear as day. You don't tell anyone. They'd say the sea is getting to you. They'd be right. The smell of boiling blubber will haunt you forever. They call it trying out. After a whale is killed, they strip off the blubber and boil it down into oil. That oil lights Europe's lamps. It makes kings shine. It also smells like hell caught fire inside a dead animal. You work the Triworks furnace. You shovel wood into the belly of a brick oven that never cools. The smoke turns your eyes red, your lungs wheeze, your hair smells like death-drenched fat. Some boys vomit. You? You just keep sweating. Because the only thing worse than the smell is not working. You slip in blood and almost break your neck. The deck is slick, always. Slick with oil, with seawater, with bits of dead whale. You carry a barrel lid across the main deck. You step wrong. Your foot flies out. Your ribs crash against the rail. You hear something snap. A bone, maybe? You stand up anyway, because lying down makes you look weak. And weak men go overboard. One sailor tells you to rub whale oil on the bruise. He's serious. One of the men has started talking to the mast. His name is Otley. He used to be sharp, quick with a joke, steady hands on the lines. Now he whispers to the ship, strokes the wood, says it speaks to him. You hear him say, "She's angry, she remembers the blood." The others laugh, until he tries to jump overboard mid-watch. They drag him back, tie him down, and now, no one laughs. There's a boy who sleeps with a knife. His name is Jory. 14, maybe 15. He hasn't spoken in 2 weeks, but he sharpens his knife every night, carefully, quietly. One of the older men took his bread once. Jory didn't scream, didn't cry, just waited. 2 days later, that man tripped near the rail and went over. No witnesses, no rescue. Just the wind. And Jory, sharpening again. You never touch his food. A tooth infection turns into a nightmare. You wake up with a swollen cheek, a dull throb behind your eye. A sailor says it's a bad tooth. Another says it's a demon inside you. The captain calls for the surgeon. Surgeon is a generous term. He smells like rum and uses a pair of blacksmith tongs. He holds you down. 4 men grip your shoulders. He doesn't use anything for the pain. He yanks the tooth out. You scream so hard your throat bleeds, you pass out. Wake up the next day with a rag in your mouth and a fever in your bones. The pain is gone, but now you dream in red. Storm coming. You can feel it in your spine. The sky darkens too fast. The birds vanish. The sea changes color. Veteran sailors tie down everything they can. You don't ask questions. The storm hits at dusk. Waves taller than buildings. Rain so hard it feels like gravel. The mast whips like a serpent. Men cry, men pray. A barrel breaks loose and crushes a sailor's leg. Bone pokes through skin like snapped oars. No one can help him. They lash him to the wall. He screams for his mother. No one hears her reply. When the lightning hits the mast, you smell burned hair. Just a flash, crack, a scream. The lookout is gone, charred, smoking. His boots still stand, but his body is ash in the rain. You look away, you have to. The sea doesn't care about your grief. And the captain says, "We sail on." You think about jumping. Just once, just a flash of thought. During the stillness between storms, you imagine letting go, falling. No more hunger, no more rot, no more ghosts whispering from the hold. But then the ship creaks, a gull cries, and you remember, the sea doesn't end you quickly. She takes her time. A whale breaches at night. No warning, no splash, just this shape rising from blackness, like a god without a face. You see it for 2 seconds, then it's gone. The ship rocks, the oil lantern swings. You wonder if you imagined it. You pray you did. Because if that thing is real, you're not at the top of the food chain out here. They carve the next kill while it still moves. Another whale. Harpooned, lashed, dragged to the side. They start butchering it before the light leaves its eye. You hold its flesh down with a hook. Its skin twitches. Its tail lifts. Reflex, they say. You still flinch. You whisper sorry. No one hears you. There's always a leak and it's never just water. The carpenter pounds a plug into a hole below the main deck. Just a little crack, he says. You believe him, until water starts seeping through 3 other places. Salt water mixes with whale blood and the runoff from the try-works. Now the lower hold stinks like rot, fire, and damp death. Buckets aren't enough. You line up with the others and start bailing. All night. No shift rotation. Your hands blister. Your shoulders seize. The ship keeps leaking. You keep bailing. And you wonder how many ships sink without ever sinking. Someone's missing fingers. A misfire during the last harpoon launch. Rope tangled around a crewmate's hand. 1 second he was shouting. The next the rope yanked, and 3 fingers flew like bloody dragonflies across the deck. He didn't scream right away. He just stared at the stump. Now he sleeps beside the oil barrels. He doesn't speak. Some say he talks in his sleep. Not in English. Not in any language anyone knows. You believe them. Your feet are always wet. Now they're bleeding, too. The boots you were issued have rotted. Soles are gone. You walk barefoot now, on wet planks, fish guts, and iron nails. The skin between your toes splits. Your heels weep pus. You wrap them in rags, but the salt water soaks through. You're limping. You try to hide it, because limping is weakness. And weakness gets noticed. A man tries to start a mutiny. His name was Cray. Big voice, bigger arms, smelled like boiled cabbage and rum. He shouted about better rations, fair shares, heading back home. Some men listened, nodded, whispered. Next morning, Cray didn't show up on deck. You found his hat nailed to the mast. The rest of him? Gone. The captain didn't speak about it. But no one whispered after that. The Tri-Works fire goes out. Then, things get worse. The fire must never die. It's sacred out here. It boils the blubber. It keeps the ship alive. But last night, the fuel ran low. The wind stole the flame. For 12 hours, there's no heat, no food, no light. You wrap yourself in sailcloth, teeth chattering so hard your jaw locks. You see things in the dark. Faces in the oil barrels, eyes in the smoke. You pray for the fire's return. When it comes back, it smells sweeter than perfume, even if it's boiling another whale's heart. One man is found, hanging in the rigging. Morning, calm seas, first light, and there he is. A silhouette swinging between sails. Someone climbs up, cuts him down. No note, no goodbye, just a rope, a sailor's knot, and eyes that stopped seeing hours ago. The captain says, "Get back to work." And so you do, because even death gets no day off out here. The sea ice arrives. The ship lurches through a narrow passage of floating ice. White shards grind against the hull like giant teeth. Every creak sounds like a farewell. A man falls overboard trying to clear the rudder. The cold water steals his breath before he can scream. You see his hand rise once, then it's gone. No rescue, no time. The crew chops a path through the ice using axes, oars, and bare hands. Yours split open in seconds. You keep swinging. The alternative is freezing where you stand. You haven't seen land in 2 months. You've forgotten what trees smell like, what grass feels like, what silence without screaming is. The ocean stretches in every direction, endless, hostile, wet. You dream of dirt, of holding a stone, of kissing dry earth. Instead, you kiss the rail when you puke your dinner for the 3rd time that day, and the ship sails on. The blood never truly washes away. You scrub the deck after every kill. Salt water, sand, brushes, fingernails. Still, the stains remain. Dark patches that no one speaks about. You've started seeing shapes in them. A face here, a whale's eye there. Sometimes a mouth open wide. You blink, it vanishes. You tell yourself it's just your mind. But when the others start seeing them too, you stop scrubbing. They ask you to help deliver a baby shark. One morning, there's a commotion near the barrels. A crewman has caught a shark in a rope trap. A small one, young, still alive, but its belly is swollen. It's pregnant, someone says. The captain says to cut it open. You hold it down while another man slices. Out spills a litter of writhing, blind pups. Too early. They squirm on the deck. No one helps them. They die gasping. You feel sick, because even monsters have mothers. The harpooner finally snaps. You knew it was coming. His eyes have been different for days, wide, twitching, too dry for blinking. Then, during the next hunt, the whale breaches. Huge, beautiful, terrifying. Everyone braces. But the harpooner? He drops the harpoon, falls to his knees, and screams, "I will not kill another god." He keeps screaming, even after the captain beats him with the butt of a musket. They lock him below decks. No one speaks of it again. But later, when you're alone, you whisper the same thing. Because you're starting to believe it too. You get sick, not a cold, not seasickness. Something deeper. Your gums swell, your joints ache. Your breath smells like meat left in the sun. You can't chew. You can barely walk. Your skin bruises from nothing. Scurvy, someone says. Like naming it helps? There's no medicine. Just sour words, just rotting time. You eat a rat someone caught in the barrel room. It helps. You hate that it helps. You write a letter. You'll never send. You find a scrap of sailcloth and a bit of charcoal. You write, "If this is found, my name was Elric. I was not a monster. I only wanted to live." You fold it. Tuck it under a deck plank near your bunk. You don't expect it to be found. But if it is, maybe someone will remember you as more than just another warm body that burned whale oil into the sky. A stranger appears. No one knows where he came from. One day he's just there, standing near the stern, pale, dry, watching. The crew avoids him. He speaks only to the captain. No one sees them talk. But afterward, things get darker. No jokes, no music. Even the gulls stop circling. You ask a mate who he is. The mate says, "He ain't alive." You don't ask again. The final hunt. You spot it at dawn, a leviathan, twice the size of the last whale, covered in scars, half blind, but still furious. The captain orders all hands. You grip the lines, your arms tremble, your soul begs you to run. Too late, harpoons fly. The beast thrashes. Its tail rises, smashing the longboat to pieces. Men fly. You hear bones snap midair. The water turns red. You're pulled under. You drown almost. Salt floods your nose. Pressure crushes your chest. You thrash. Blind, weightless, cold. Your hands find a floating plank. You claw upward. When you breach the surface, everything is chaos. The ship is twisted, the longboat is gone. Only a handful of men remain. You cough blood, then bile. You're alive. But for what? The captain disappears. After the wreck, no one sees him. Some say he jumped. Some say the whale took him. Some say the stranger took him below. You find his hat floating beside a harpoon. You leave it where it lies. No one asks who's in charge now. There's no command when death becomes the captain. You burn the last whale. There's no celebration, just smoke. You boil its blubber. You blacken the sky. You stare into the flame. You think of the eye. The ones that watched you from the deep. The ones that never forgave. And you whisper again, "I am sorry." And for the first time since this voyage began, you think maybe the sea hears you. Land, finally. But you're not who you were. Weeks later, land appears, just a smudge on the horizon. Men cry, you don't, because the person who stepped aboard this ship is gone. You feel hollow, full of ghosts, full of salt. The ship creaks against the dock. Ropes are thrown, and you stagger down the gangplank. You kiss the dirt. It tastes like life. You weep. You are free, and yet the waves still call your name at night. We've drifted long enough in blood and brine. Now it's time to go somewhere smellier. Not the sea, not the sand, not the steam. We're heading underground, into the darkest, foulest, most forgotten job of all. Grab a nosecloth and your courage, because it's time to become the Gong farmer. Your office is a hole in the ground, not metaphorically, literally. You climb down a ladder into a pitch-black shaft, narrower than your shoulders, slick with something wet and definitely not clean. Your boots squelch as you descend. You gag before you reach the bottom. This is your workplace, a medieval cesspit. You're the Gong farmer, and you've just stepped into a centuries-old stew of human waste. Let's talk job description. What exactly do you do? You remove the contents of castle latrines by hand, with a bucket, at night. You're not allowed to work in daylight, because your job is considered so disgusting, it might offend noble noses. So you descend at dusk, scrape, scoop, and shovel until dawn. Every pile is someone's dinner, someone's illness, someone's sins in solid form. You carry it out, cart it away, dump it outside the castle walls, and then you come back for more. Your uniform is regret and flies. You wear thick leather gloves, cracked and soaked through. a cloth over your mouth, wool trousers that haven't been cleaned since last harvest, and a long tunic that was once brown, but now is a color you can't name. The smell? It never leaves. Not with scrubbing, not with vinegar, not even with fire. You smell like failure fermented. People don't look you in the eye, even when they're sitting above you, using the toilet. Especially then. You're paid in silence and disgust. Technically, this is a job. You get coin, not much, but enough to buy bread. Ale. Maybe a rat if you're feeling extravagant. But you pay in other ways. Your skin peels, your lungs wheeze, you've lost 2 toenails to trench rot. And the shame? It doesn't fade. Kids throw stones at you. Dogs won't sniff you. Even the town drunk calls you filth. You used to be a cooper, a barrel maker. Now, you're the bucket boy for the bowels of nobility. The worst is the splash. Sometimes it's just a drip. Other times it's a full deluge, especially after feast day. You learn to listen for it. The creak of the toilet bench above, the shift of wood, the splashdown. You pray for solids. Liquids are worse. They soak. They spray. They seep through fabric, soul, and sanity. You once took a direct hit. Chest, face, mouth. You didn't eat for 2 days afterward. There are creatures in the pit. You thought the worst thing down here was the waste. You were wrong. Rats, big ones, bold ones. One bit your thumb and ran off with a chunk of nail. Beetles, too. Fat and shiny, crawling across the muck like kings. But the worst? Something that slithered once. You never saw it, just the ripple across the surface. You climbed out early that night. Some smells mean danger, even in a cesspool. No one thanks you. You keep the castle livable, sanitary, safe. You prevent disease, plague, pestilence. And yet, if a noble sees you, they wrinkle their nose like you're a curse made flesh. The kitchen staff won't talk to you. The stable boy sneers. The priest blesses the latrine more often than he blesses you. You try not to care. But some nights, when you scrape the last crust of waste from the wall, you whisper, "I'm human too." And the echo doesn't answer. You found a ring. Once. In the muck. A gold band with a ruby the size of a thumb. Worth more than you'd earn in 10 years. You stared at it for a long time. Then climbed out and handed it to the steward. He didn't thank you. Just nodded. Took it. Walked away. You never saw it again. And your hands still smelled like rot for a week. Your dreams have changed. You used to dream of ale, women, warm bread. Now, you dream of clean water, of soap, of sunlight. You dream of walking through town and no one looking away. You dream of not dreaming about dung. It's been years since that came true. And yet, you keep climbing down because someone has to, because you need to eat, because they say if you do this job long enough, you earn land. You don't believe them, but you believe in the bucket because it's real, it's full, and it needs to be emptied. The stench follows you like a curse. You scrub, you soak, you scrape your skin until it's red and raw. Doesn't matter. The smell is in your hair, your nails, your thoughts. You once bathed in a river and a fish floated up belly first 5 minutes later. Coincidence? Maybe. But the villagers blamed you anyway. You sleep alone, you eat alone. Even the pigs in the yard keep their distance. You wonder if stink can become a soul. Because if so, yours has turned to sludge. You start naming the buckets. You didn't mean to. But after a while, everything needs a name. You call the leaky one Whistler. The big one with the broken handle is Old King. The one that splashes when full, Doom. It's not madness, it's survival. Because once you stop laughing, the silence gets heavy. And down here, silence and stink make a deadly pair. One night, the ladder snaps. You're 10 feet down, waist deep in filth. The wood groans, cracks, gives way. You fall hard. You're not hurt badly, just bruised. But now you're stuck, alone below. No one hears your calls. The stone walls' drinks sound like soup. You wait 2 hours, three, a full night passes, the air thickens, you start to panic. Then at dawn, someone lowers a rope. No words, just the rope. You climb out, you never see who helped. You whisper thank you to the morning mist. There are sounds that shouldn't exist. You hear voices sometimes. Not above, below. Whispers in languages that don't belong in England. Echoes that don't match your movements. Once you heard laughter. High-pitched, childlike. But no child would ever come down here. You convince yourself it's just your mind. Tired, suffocating, hallucinating. But next night, the whispers return. And this time, they say your name. You meet another Gong farmer. Old, hunched, missing an ear. You find him in a pit 3 towns over, visiting to clean for a noble wedding. He recognizes the look in your eyes. First year, he asks. You nod. He says, after 5, it stops bothering you. After 10, you stop being a man. He coughs. Something dark comes out. You never see him again. But you remember his face, because it looked just like yours, just older, more defeated. Feast days are the worst. You think more food means more joy. Not for you. It means more everything. More ale, more meat, more wine, more waste. Pits fill faster. Overflows are common. You work twice as long, 3 times as hard. One night, the overflow backs up into the servant quarters. They blame you. You say, I only carry it out. The steward shouts, then carry it faster. So you do. Until your hands bleed, until your back knots like rope, until even your dreams are bloated and stinking. Your immune system is a monster. Now, you've stopped getting sick. Everyone else catches fevers, coughs, boils. You, not a sniffle. Whatever lives in your body now. It doesn't play nice with invaders. You've become a walking swamp. One man tried to rob you once, grabbed your bag, tackled you to the ground. Then he smelled you. He let go, ran into the woods. You didn't even shout. You just stood up, wiped your hands on your tunic, and kept walking. You're offered a better job. Once. A traveling merchant offers you work cleaning stables. Less smell, better pay, travel. You hesitate. Then you remember what the steward said. Stay 10 years, earn land. You've been down here 6. So you shake your head. The merchant shrugs. You never see him again. But the next day, the pit seems deeper, the smell sharper, your stomach heavier. And you wonder if you just said no to your last chance at sky. You find bones in the muck, tiny, human, child-sized. They don't belong there. There was no report, no grave, no prayer. You leave them where they lie. Because no one will believe you. Because no one cares. Because maybe, it's better not to ask questions anymore. You work faster that night, just to stop thinking. You laugh in the dark. Once it scared you, now it comforts you. Because down here, only the mad laugh, and only the mad survive. Your skin is changing. It started with your hands, rough, split, always peeling. Then your arms, covered in red blotches. Now your face. You catch your reflection in a water trough. Briefly, you flinch. Your cheeks are sunken. Your skin has a permanent grayish tone. A rash curls along your jaw like ivy. You're becoming something else. Not sick, just altered. A creature shaped by ammonia, bacteria, and shame. People don't say hello anymore. They cross themselves. You're not sure what they see. You're not sure what you are. The pits don't end. There's always another. A new cesspool. A new castle. A new tunnel. You've mapped half the underbelly of the kingdom in your head. Each pit has its personality. Some are shallow and silent. Others bubble like something alive. One smells of sulfur and old blood. You hate that one most. You call it the throat. It gurgles when no one's near. You stopped going alone after it whispered back. Winter's a special kind of hell. The cold doesn't clean anything. It freezes the waste into jagged crusts that cut your hands. It stiffens the rope. It turns the stairs into death traps. One slip, and you fall hard into a frozen tomb of excrement. You did once. Broke 2 ribs, climbed out anyway. No one offered help or clean clothes. You sat beside the fire steaming. No one sat near you. You pretended not to cry. Someone tries to kill you. You're emptying a pit near the barracks when a brick falls from above. Misses your head by inches. You climb out and find no one. Just laughter fading into the dark. You don't report it. You already know what they'd say. Who'd miss a dung man? Still, you sleep with a dagger now. Rusty, dull, but yours. You sharpen it each night, just in case someone decides the smell isn't punishment enough. The latrine collapses. It happens during a feast. Too much use, too little repair. The stone vault cracks, then gives way. 3 people fall in, screaming, flailing. You're called in to extract them. You tie a rope around your waist. Lower yourself in. You find one woman still conscious, covered in filth, sobbing. You haul her out. The other 2, gone, suffocated. You wash your hands in a rain barrel afterward. For an hour, you can still smell them. A noble drops something valuable, a jeweled brooch, pure silver, deep in the royal privy. They call you. You say it's too far down. They say double pay. So you go. You crawl deeper than ever, where the waste is thick, black, hot, where even the rats have stopped digging. You find it, shining like a curse. You pocket it, climb out. You hand them a rock instead. They never check. That night, you sell the brooch to a smuggler. You buy yourself a new tunic and a cup of wine that doesn't taste like death. You sleep well for once. You think about leaving. You have enough saved now, enough to buy a small plot, maybe a goat. You imagine waking up to birds, to air that doesn't choke you, to your own name spoken with kindness. But then you remember the contract. The steward said 10 years. You've done 8. If you leave now, you lose the promised land. So you stay, and the pit welcomes you back. Like an old friend, like a grave, your fingers start to twitch. Even when you're not working. You sit at dinner and find yourself curling them, miming the bucket handle. You dream of scooping. You catch yourself talking to flies. You see shadows move where none should be. And when a child laughs in the street, you flinch. Because down in the pit, laughter is never a good sign. You write a prayer on the wall, not for salvation, for remembrance. It reads, I worked beneath kings, ate beside rats, laughed in the dark, and lived despite it. You carve it with your knife, slow, deep. No one will ever see it, except the next Gong farmer. And maybe that's enough. You can taste the smell now. It's in your mouth, not just your nose anymore. Every bite of bread tastes faintly of rot. Ale has notes of dung. Even fresh rain carries the scent of the pit. You've scrubbed your tongue with salt. You've gargled vinegar. You once bit a mint leaf from the herb garden. Nothing helps. The job is in your blood now. You are a walking privy in human shape. Your own family stops visiting. They used to come once a year. Bring figs, a bit of lamb. Talk about home. Last time your sister arrived with a scarf over her face, couldn't look at you, didn't stay long. You gave her a carved comb, took days to make. She thanked you, left it behind. That was 3 winters ago. You haven't heard from them since. Now you don't expect visitors. And that hurts less. The castle above you changes, but the pit stays the same new lord. New banners, new wine, new gossip. Same latrines, same darkness, same stink. Once, a noble fell from power and was executed, beheaded. You didn't know until his crest showed up floating in the night soil. You scooped it out, hung it on the wall for a day, then burned it. Because down here, even royalty ends up in the same stew. You discover a tunnel. While cleaning a forgotten corner of the lower pit system, your boot hits stone, hollow. You pry, push, lift. A tunnel, narrow, ancient, untouched for decades. You crawl through. It opens into a forgotten room, dry, quiet, cold. You sit there for hours, just breathing. No smell, no noise, no weight. You consider not going back. But the castle would collapse. The waste would rise. People would die. So you leave your name scratched in the wall. Then you go back to work. The steward finally calls you. You've done your 10. He hands you a scroll, a deed, your name written in ink, land legally yours, near the river, with trees. You want to cry. You want to fall to your knees. You want to smell something, anything besides waste. But you don't. You simply nod. He doesn't shake your hand. You walk away. Your last climb out of the pit is slow. You pause at the top. Look back. It's darker than usual. Quieter. You whisper, "Goodbye." The pit says nothing, but the air feels lighter. For the first time in a decade, the sky touches your skin. You build a home. Modest. Single room, straw roof, wooden bed. You plant onions. You fish. You sleep. You speak your own name again, out loud, and it doesn't sound like a lie. Kids in the village call you sir. They don't know your past. You don't tell them. Only once, when the latrine floods, do you offer help. You dig the trench in under an hour. The villagers are amazed. You say, "Just an old trick." But some nights, you still dream of the pit, of the bucket, of the splash, of bones, of whispers. You wake sweating. You light a candle. You sit on the step and breathe the clean night air. And you whisper to the wind, "I came back. I lived." Final fade out. So, dear listener, that was a bath attendant boiled in sweat, a pyramid laborer buried in stone, a whaler bled out in salt, and a gong farmer gagged in silence. History doesn't honor them, but you just did. Now close your eyes. Let their stories fade. Let the noise of the past lull you into peace. And when you wake, thank whatever stars shine above that you live in a time where flushing is automatic. Because some jobs are better left buried. Good night.